This is my iPhone screen. And what I have on my screen here is I've got a little cheat sheet that's going to give me the ability to go through and look at a few types of personalizations that we can do. So obviously, one thing you want to be able to do is to personalize your device to make it easier for you to use, improve functionality for you, and maybe express your personality and style if you want to. Now, one of the things we can do is change the wallpaper for my lock screen and home screen. There are actually two screens. You can't see my lock screen because when my phone is locked, it won't display the zoom setting, but there is a lock screen, and after you use your fingerprint or enter your passcode or facial ID, it unlocks your phone and displays your home screen. This is the home screen. It is possible to change the wallpaper for either your lock screen or your home screen. So in newer phones, they give you more capabilities to do them, but we're going to go into the settings application here, which is the gear. Settings are usually a gear, and we're going to be looking at wallpaper. Wallpaper actually, I believe, has its own setting now. If you scroll down, you'll see something called wallpaper. And if we tap on wallpaper, that tells you how you can customize it. So this is wallpaper on my lock screen, and this is wallpaper on my home screen. That's why it shows two different screens, lock and home. So I'm going to change and tap customize. Let's scroll through here, and it gives us a few different options here. I can set up a new one. So I'm going to tap customize on my home screen. So it gives me kind of a general layout. This background image is my wallpaper, and I can pair my home screen and my lock screen. That's the standard setting. I can set a color or a gradient or use a photo here, and even use something called blur. I've never seen blur. So I'm going to try just using a color here. That's pretty hard to see, but if I tap it, I can set it to black. I can set it to any different color I choose to use here, and it'll change the background color of my home screen. I can also use a photo. So if I wanted to use a photo, say, of this beach and make that my lock screen, that'll be my new home screen setting. You can see how it's set, and it shows you a preview of what you want to do. So if I wanted to make my lock screen the same image, I could just tap pair, and my lock screen would override this. But if I want to change the image on my lock screen as well, they will be different. So I can have one image on my lock screen, a different image on my home screen. And it's also possible, they have a little tooltip here, a hint now, says change your wallpaper from the lock screen. From the lock screen, and again, I can't show you my lock screen Zoom sharing. If you touch and hold it, you can add, edit, and switch between wallpapers and widgets on your home screen as well. So your widgets are little icons for applications that you can add to your lock screen to be able to modify it. So settings are available. They have lots of options on wallpaper. You can add new wallpaper from the Apple Wallpaper Store. They have featured ones. Here's weather, here's iOS 18, they have Unity Rhythm, they have suggested photos. They also have a photo shuffle. They also have things for weather and astronomy and kaleidoscope. And some of these are dynamic. Some of them will change with and actually change the display as you look at it. You can see this iOS 18. They're actually changing a little bit. And you can see what the lock screen will look like, a preview. And if you don't want to change it, you can tap cancel. Now, if you tap on this and you tap on add widgets, this is where you can add widgets to your lock screen. The advantage of having a widget on your lock screen is that you see something from your lock screen without having to unlock your phone to get to it. So if you want to use a shopping list for grocery shopping, or if you want to use your activity ring, or you want to use an app like ChatGPT or Instagram, or I have weather up here. I have the date up here. I don't have the weather. So if I add the weather, you can see how it pops it in here. And I can add my calendar in here as well. If I want to delete them, I would just tap on the minus sign. So this gives you a little preview of what your lock screen is going to look like when you want to change it. And if you want to cancel it, you can even change these icons in the bottom here and modify them and move them around if you want to. But this will change your lock screen. You have the actual ability. I'm swiping from right to left to go with different colors. I tend to be a blue person. That's my favorite color. So I'm just going to add this, and I'm going to set this as a wallpaper pair so that my home screen and my lock screen are actually paired together. So this is what they look like now. So if I swipe up, you can see my wallpaper is now changed and it's different than what it was before. Kind of an interesting approach you can take. So this is a style approach, but the widgets are really, really convenient because the widget functions give you the ability to change your capabilities in your settings and modify it if you want to customize your home screen. And if I wanted to change these widgets, I can tap and I can modify them by tapping and holding. I can delete this widget by passing the minus sign. Apple's really good about making minus signs really easy. I can put my activity ring here. I could even put ChatGPT in here so I can get to it directly from the lock screen if I want to. And so those are just some tips for adding widgets and other tools, and it'll show you a preview of what it's going to look like if you want to change it or make modifications. So that's a personalization. You can make it easier to navigate, go to different things, choose what might work better for you if you want to, for example. Now, another thing that's really common is people don't always create folders for apps. I love to create folders for my apps. When you have apps on your home screen and they will fill up the space, you'll have them in your dock here, and you'll see dots that let you swipe to groups of different apps if you want to. So if I wanted to, and the far right, you get the app library. So for example, I wanted to put some Apple apps together here. I can take these, and if I tap and hold, it gives me the ability to tap on Edit Home Screen, and they're all jiggling now. I can remove an app by tapping the minus sign. I can slide it to a different screen. So I want to take the speed test group, and if it's a group, it's an app, and I can just slide it over from one screen to another, and I can position them on the screen now as well. You used to not be able to position apps on your iPhone screen, but now they have a little grid system that will recognize where you want to put things. You don't always have to have them in the order they want them. You can move them around and slide them by tapping and holding. Now, I created this folder called Speed Tests where I keep my 3 speed test apps in one folder. But if you wanted to, you could just drag this app on top of another one, and it'll create a folder. I'm just going to call it Apple here for convenience sake. And that's my Apple folder here. And then I can tap and hold on another one and slide it over. And now I've got other apps here that are available for me. Some apps can't go into folders, so you have to be careful, but other apps do. And I create a lot of folders. I've got a folder for extras, real estate. I'm not sure why I have that anymore. Games, cooking, news. So I create all of these apps in these folders, and some of the folders have multiple tools, multiple resources. If you want to drag an app out of a folder, you just tap and hold it. That lets you edit your home screen, and you can drag it down outside of the folder if you want to, or drag it back in. So it's convenient to keep apps you use most frequently on your home screen. But if you do a lot of things, like I keep all of my shopping apps in one folder, all of my travel apps, my photography, finance, some utilities, entertainment, food, I keep them all in folders. So I have a lot of folders that have multiplied the number of apps I can keep on my screen and be able to manage them. So though those are tools that you can really manage. Now, though, if you tap and hold on your home screen, which I just did, I tapped and held on it, I can edit the home screen, and I have the ability to add widgets to my home screen, and I can edit the pages. Each of these buttons at the bottom is considered a page on your screen, so I can add a widget. And if I want to add a widget like my grocery, my list, my widget, I can add that widget, and you can see how it positions it on my home screen. This is not the lock screen. This is my home screen. And if it's something I want to make bigger, I can grab this handle. It'll push some apps off of the home screen if there's not enough room, but I can make it, there's a point at which I can't make it any smaller. But if I want to keep a reminder here for my grocery shopping list on my home screen. Otherwise, I'd have to go and open up the Reminders app, which isn't too bad for me. I can do that. Or I can delete it by just tapping the X. So the edit button, by tapping and holding on your home screen, will give you the ability to add widgets. Widgets are basically short looks into an app. Not all apps have widgets. Be aware of that. So somehow or another, I ended up with the Apple Store over here. I'm going to tap and I'm going to move this over to the last screen. I want to move it over here into this group, and I want to tap on this folder. I want to change the name to Apple, and now I'm done. I didn't save that before. So now I have my Apple apps there, and I can move this around and I can slide it to a different screen if I want to, but I like keeping them on a separate screen that gives me ability to know where they are when I need to know them. Again, I'm swiping back and forth. Now, it is possible to move apps in and out of your dock. I'm going to slide to my home screen here. So say instead of having Safari in my dock, I want to have Chrome. I can slide Safari out, and I can tap Chrome and move Chrome over into my dock. And that way they're available to me no matter which view I'm looking at. I have the ability to look at them. But for the purpose of using my iPhone, I prefer having my Safari app in my dock. So those are some resources that are available for you to customize your wallpaper, your home screen, organizing apps, adding and deleting widgets that are really convenient for you to manage as well. So that's about apps and widgets. The other setting that you can do is you can modify your display and text size. And some of the settings you think might be in one location, but increasingly, a lot of things are set up in accessibility. Accessibility gives you the ability to manage a lot of settings that make it easier for you to personalize your phone to do some things. And display and text size, which is really common, is in here. So you can make your text larger or not. You can adjust it by, I'm going to turn on larger text. And I have the option to adjust this with this little slider. I'm going to tap on that dot, and I can move it slower, and you can see, you can adjust your larger text or smaller text and see a little preview of what it looks like as you move it. There are large sizes. If I want to access larger accessibility sizes, you see my slider down here went really large. And so I can go extremely large if I want to for sizes that might not normally available. This is the maximum without. And so if I want to get it even bigger, tapping that larger accessibility sizes makes it possible to look at. You can change how button shapes look. Buttons are the little buttons that you might tap or hold on in an app. You can choose how on or off labels look and modify them. And you can make all of your text bold just by tapping this bold on and off setting right away. You can see how it makes it bold. I think we'll leave it there for our settings here, so because it makes it a little bit easier to read sometimes. There are options for contrast, inversion, color filters, other things like that that are available too that you can keep on and use on setting. So those are some things that might be helpful. There's also another place you can modify this. If you go to settings, and I'm navigating back to the main settings screen, in display and brightness, you have the ability to adjust a setting that gives you the ability to display zoom larger text. So display zoom is default, but I can just choose a larger text option and it'll show me. And I can just with one tap go to larger text right away and it'll make almost everything larger and gives you some examples of how it looks when you're looking at larger text. It doesn't change the size of icons, but can you see even on the lock screen, on things like chat and messaging, it'll make things larger for you just with a single button. It makes it really easy. So you don't have to go to the larger text if you want to. It just displays and zooms in on the display. And you can adjust your brightness here as well. You also have the ability in display and brightness to also get to your text size, but it doesn't give you that extra accessibility size extension. This is limited to just the standard sizes that are available. And again, we have bold or unbold that we can modify. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, another way to customize your settings is in Sounds and Haptics. A sound is obviously a tone. I'm in silent mode right now. I'm going to take myself out of it. I just used my side button to set that up. And showing the silent mode or in the status bar is that little row of information along the top here. I don't know if it'll display silent mode. You can see it's in silent now. And you can see there's a little bell with an icon through with a slash through it. That is your status bar up here. Usually shows your battery, your Wi-Fi signal, your cellular signal, and the time. But if you want to, you can show that you're in silent mode in the status bar or not. If I tap no, if I turn this off, you can see that little bell disappear. So it's just another way to make it easier for you to see some things. Now, some people don't realize that when you set your ringtone for your phone and your alerts, you can set your volume. It'll give you an example of what it sounds like, what the ringer sounds like. You can choose to set it here, and the standard setting is not to change it with your side buttons. If you look at the side of your phone, you have some volume up and volume down buttons. We use that often for using it to adjust the volume of a video or a song or something we're listening to. You may just want to keep your ringtone and alerts set so that they don't change with those buttons. If you turn this on, what that means is that the volume buttons are going to change and adjust the volume of your ringtone and alerts that you might get. So I turn it off because I have a volume setting and I don't want to change it. There is something called a haptic. A haptic is that little vibration that your phone makes. There's actually a little electromechanical device in your phone that gives it a vibration. And when I have haptics, I can choose to always play them so I can hear it and feel the vibration. I could make sure the haptics do vibrate when I'm in silent mode, or I can set them so they don't play in silent mode. So for example, if I go to see a movie and I want my phone not to interrupt me while I'm watching the movie, and I'm just going to not be, interrupted until I get out of the movie. If anybody tries to reach me, I'm just incognito. I can't be reached. So I have don't play in silent mode. So when I put my phone in silent mode here and have haptics don't play in silent mode, I won't get a vibration either. If I want them to play in silent mode, even if I have my phone silenced, I will get a vibration when a message or a notification or somebody calls. Instead of it being a ringtone that rings, I will feel that vibration on my phone when something happens. So I prefer don't play it in silent mode. Now, there are ways to even customize this more. Your standard tones are going to be here. So if you don't like the ringtone, you can change it anything you want to. It'll give you a little preview of what it sounds like. It'll give you some sense of what you can hear. It gives you options for different sounds for different types of alerts. These are the alerts that are going to give you a sound. Your ringtone, when a new text comes in, when we have a new voicemail, when you have a new email. I don't care about that. The swish, I like knowing that I did send an email. A calendar alert, a reminder alert. Reminders does give you the ability to set a time and a location for an alert, and just other default alerts that might occur. And the keyboard, I do like a haptic sense feedback to that, but some people like the clicking sound on their keyboard. Other people find it really annoying. You have a choice of setting one or the other or both if you want to. But that sounds and haptics are those tools that give you the ability to modify how the things play and what they're playing for. There's a headphone safety feature, and iPhones with iPods, with certain AirPods, have the ability for you to customize it. Now you can create customized vibration tones and customized ringtones for particular contacts if you go into your contact settings and do that. Possible to do that. Some people like having those ringtones and not. I'm going to hold off on focus modes a little while because that can get really involved, and we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to show you Control Center. Control Center gives you the ability to customize it. Control Center is that tool you access from when you swipe down. If you find you're launching it when you're inside an app, that's too, you need to find it distracting, you can turn that off if you ever want to reset it. But the Control Center gives you the ability to access a lot of settings quickly, like airplane mode, your music, your locking your rotation. This little icon here is showing me that my screen is being mirrored. I do have the ability to do a voice recording. I can launch Apple Intelligence. I have a translation function here. I have ability to access the calculator, the flashlight. I have an Apple TV remote here as well. And I have a record screen, and I have focus here. So you can customize these if you want to by tapping and holding, and it gives you the ability to delete them if you want to, or add new ones. I have space for two more. So I don't have a lot of tools, but I can add a control. And the controls are basically these types of tools, these things you could add a quick note. So if you like swiping down and being able to access something quickly, that's a great way to do it. You can even set Apple Home has a tool for setting and accessing home settings. There's a magnifier button. So whatever you feel is really, really useful for you on this home screen, this Control Center is really what thing you might want to use. And Control Center also has three different screens now. It has a screen for what's playing, and it has a screen for your wireless settings. Some iPhones have a satellite capability, but you typically have the ability to control your Bluetooth, your AirDrop, your Wi-Fi, airplane mode from that. So it gives you a quick way to get to those settings without having to launch and open anything else. So that control center is really convenient. You can customize what appears on it. Now, one of the things you can do is, when you want to swipe up from the bottom, it takes you to your home screen right away on phones that have a Face ID. If you press the side button and a volume button, it snaps a screenshot and saves it in your photos if you want to. There is a way to long press an icon. So if I go to the camera icon here and I long press it, a little menu pops up. Now, if I let go, sometimes it opens up editing, but I can go directly to long pressing it and slide up, and I can take a portrait view or a video or a selfie right away. So if I tap on selfie, it's going to point the camera at me right away. I didn't have to do anything. I can tap that photo. Sometimes apps like that, reminders, will give you the ability to put a new note in. So many of these apps have think of it as a right-click button in the app. So if you were wondering, gee, I don't have a right-click button, a lot of apps have the ability for you to tap and hold on it, and it gives you that little, what's called a context menu, that allow you to be able to do that. So those are things that you can do. So there are a lot of other settings you can customize. Even if you don't use a case on your phone, you can tap the back of your phone to trigger shortcuts for accessibility. Some people find that really useful. If they have, vision problems and they can't see, you can tap that. And you can turn on battery settings as well. So the battery is really something people always seem to have questions about. So if we tap on the battery, I like showing the battery percentage up top. I'm plugged in right now. I'm using it to stream to mirror on my screen, but I like to see the percentage of battery charge in the status setting here without having to do anything. I can turn on low power mode. So low power mode will reduce the background activity. So lots of times if you get below a certain charge on your phone, it may automatically go into low power mode to save like the last 10 or 20% of battery. I'm not sure whether it sets at 10 or 20%. You'll get an indication of your battery health. You'll get an indication of charging and how it's charging. And they have a recommended charge limit. Typically, your optimized battery charging is set automatically so that when you charge, it charges rapidly if you're below 50%, but from 50 to 100%, oftentimes it'll charge a little bit slower, and then from 80 to 100%, it'll charge even slower. So it actually learns your habits of when you charge, when you don't charge. It's pretty much automatic. And they say they don't recommend 100%, they recommend 90% to help preserve your battery. And so those are some things that you can utilize on your settings. Now, the last setting and customization I want to go to is called focus. Focus is really involved. Focus is no longer just do not disturb. You can have multiple types of focus set here. And there's a button here for a new focus. Driving is pretty much automatic. Sleep can be used if you're using an Apple Watch and you want to track your sleep patterns. Work is pretty standard. Personal can be customized. And then there's general do not disturb. It'll silence all notifications. If I tap on the three dots, it brings up a menu here. Typically, do not disturb is standard. I can click do not disturb for an hour. Say I'm having coffee with somebody, or don't want to be disturbed until this evening, until 6 o'clock, or I don't want to be disturbed until I leave this location. So like I said, if I'm at a movie or if I'm in a restaurant with a friend and I just tap, don't disturb me until I leave this location. As soon as I think it's about 150 or 200 feet, I'm not sure the exact number, but as soon as you leave a location, your phone will automatically turn off do not disturb. So if you don't want to be disturbed while you're having coffee with somebody, but you don't know how long you're going to be there, you can set it for a location. But if you're at an event like this Zoom tech topic, you can set it so that until the end of this event, you want do not disturb, and it'll silence all notifications. Okay, so that's how do not disturb is used a lot. I'm going to go to settings, and on settings, there is a function for focus. Here we are, focus. Now you can see I had do not disturb, driving, fitness, personal. Reduce interruptions is an AI tool that Apple uses to kind of determine what's important and what's not important. Sleep and work. So if I go to do not disturb here, it shows me certain people I allow notifications for. I can also go to driving, and driving will automatically set in based on how fast you're traveling. You can allow it to give you intelligently priority notifications. You can allow it to add certain people from your contact. You can customize your lock screen, but it's set up to automatically activate while you're driving. If I go to, say, work, I don't have any people, but I have the ability to add apps and allow certain apps to notify me. So if I want say a calendar app to be able to notify me when I am in the work do not disturb, that app now has permission to send me a notification even if I'm in work focus. So if I don't use work focus, it's not going to do anything. I can actually set a schedule for do not disturb. So I can say smart activation turns on automatically, or I can add a schedule, and I can add a schedule based on a time or a location or an app. So if I wanted to have it do not disturb on for work, and I want the work setting to be don't disturb me between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Or I say, I'd really only want it to do a function when I'm at a location, or I want it to only function when I'm using a certain app or a certain apps. So you have the ability to customize these focuses. You can create a custom focus anytime you want to, but you can manage the settings. You create a custom focus by tapping the plus button, and you can set it up for some different things. So say you don't want to be disturbed while you're reading, you can tap reading, and it'll give you the ability to customize this based on the types of things you may want to have. And so now I have a new focus set up for reading that is listed in here, and it'll show up in my control center when I tap on focus. So it gives you the ability to manage these. I have fitness. So I allow certain people to get through to me when I'm in fitness. I don't have any apps, but how do I do this? Well, it's intelligent to understand that when I start a workout, it automatically goes into fitness focus. So if I go to the gym, that's great. I go to my LA Fitness gym while at this location. As soon as I get to that location, it turns on do a fitness focus, and I don't get interrupted by anything. I don't get phone calls, just go to voicemail. Text messages don't make a sound. I don't get ringtones. But also, it senses through my Apple Watch when I start a workout, or I go when I'm going into a walk, a workout, or exercise in another gym, or I'm doing a hike or something else, it'll automatically turn on by itself because it senses I'm in a workout. So you have these options to do it. If you don't like a focus, you say, gee, I really don't care about this, delete the focus. And you can even add filters to remove even distractions from apps. So it gives you a lot of fine tuning to be able to customize what you might want. If I scroll down here and I go to focus mode, you can see now I have a new reading focus. If I want to activate it, I just have to tap on it, If I want to see what settings it has, I can modify the settings directly from here as well, and it takes me to the settings function for that focus app. So understanding how to customize a lot of these things are really great to use. Using these capabilities gives you the ability to really make your device more functional individually, and modify it in a lot of ways and change all kinds of different features and settings you might want to use for it. And if you ever want to know what kind of things you can modify about any app or function, going to the settings will usually give you the ability to do that. So those are just some tips about using your iPhone and customizing it. You can spend hours doing it if you want to, but thank you all for coming today.